Hi guys, thanks for joining me for this Yoga Sizzle video. This video is based on a bit of a request, hard word to say, request from an old friend, taking a look at some of the more traditional sequencing, for example, from the Ashtanga Vinyasa series. So, we'll start standing, come to the top of your mat. And traditionally, you'd start with your feet together. If you feel a little bit wobbly, having your feet hip distance. And then just feeling the ground beneath your feet. So your knees a little soft, your bum a little engaged, your spine nice and tall. And again, letting the spine be really long. Long at the front, long at the back, but without poking your ribs out and your bum back. So keeping the spine long with the ribs in and the pelvis forward. And from here, we'll just warm up with a few standing salutes. So once you feel yourself firm, not leaning too much onto one foot or the other, evenly into the front and the back of the feet, allowing your inhalation to float your arms up towards the sky. The palms might touch at the very top, doesn't matter if they don't. And then bending your knees, pressing your knees a little forward as you roll all the way down. Fingers touch the floor of the knees as bent or as straight as you need them to be. The heart comes forward, head comes forward, and curling in. Knees press forward, bum squeezes, and breath rolls up along the spine. Taking your hands up towards the sky. Maybe the palms touch, maybe they don't. And again, knees press forward, rolling down. All the way, fingers to floor, head to knee. Again, heart forward, head forward, and curling in. Knees press forward, bum squeeze in, the breath rolls you up along the spine, inhaling. Maybe the palms touch, maybe they don't, and rolling all the way down. Nice conscious roll, fingers to the floor, head to knee. Heart forward, head forward, and curling in. This time walk your hands around to the left, which is going to be your left and my left. I'm so used to mirroring when I teach in classes, and then keeping the knees bent, you're going to roll up on your left, taking your hands up towards the sky, and then we're going to roll down on the left. Fingers to floor, head to knee. Walk yourself around to your right. And then again, rolling up, knees pointing forward, just the spine twisting towards the sky, and then rolling all the way back down. And come back to center. Fingers on the floor, heart forward, head forward, and curling in. Rounding all the way up, bum squeezing, assisting the breath to roll you up along the spine. Palms might touch, and then bring your arms along your side. Good. So now from here, we'll start adding on. The hands move all the way up on your inhalation, and then rolling yourself down. Fingers to floor, head to knee. Eyes forward, heart forward, and stepping your left leg back to a long lunge. Bring your knee to the floor, squeezing your bum, taking your hands up towards the sky. And then as you bring your hands down to the middle, tucking your chin, and bring your hands to the mat. Stepping back, downward facing dog. You might need to adjust the feet, totally fine. And then we're going to lift the heels up, bending the knees slightly, and then pressing ourselves forward to a high plank. Bringing the knees to the floor. Keep your bum squeezing so that your pelvis still feels a little light, otherwise it can very easily become heavy and drop towards the floor first. Instead, lowering down evenly towards the mat. Toes pointing, legs firm, bum firm, elbows to the sky and the shoulder blades together, peeling yourself away from the floor. A gentle baby cobra, and then lowering all the way down. Again, hugging everything in so that you feel a lightness in the pelvis as you push up. And back to downward facing dog. And then from here, taking your right leg up, and then stepping the right foot all the way forward, This time keep the back knee off the floor, but still a little bent. Squeeze your bum and take your hands up to the sky, so it's a high lunge. And then rolling down, bring your hands to the floor and step forward. Heart forward, head forward, curling in. Keep your fingers on the mat. Heart forward, head forward, and stepping the right leg back. Long lunge, the knees to the mat. Squeezing your bum, taking your hands to the sky. So a few lunging salutes. Bring your hands down to the floor and stepping back, down dog. Lifting the heels, bending the knees a little, and then using that to propel you consciously, slowly, fluidly forward, knees to the mat, and making it sure that everything lowers at the same time, coming down to your bellies, and then keeping your elbows pointing up, shoulder blades together, and peel yourself away from the mat. Cobra pose, and lowering yourself back down. Shoulder blades squeezing together, elbows pushing up, or pointing up, and then you push up. Tuck your toes, and back to downward facing dog. Lifting your left leg up behind you. Stepping your left foot all the way forward. With the right knee softens, bum squeezes, and taking your hands up towards the sky. High lunge. And then bring your hands to the floor. Step forward, heart forward, and curling. And soften the knees, rolling all the way up, bum squeezing, breath rolls along the spine, palms up to the very top. And then taking your arms all the way down along your side. We're going to add on more. Circling your hands all the way up. And rolling all the way down. Fingers to floor, head to knee. Heart forward, head forward. Right leg steps back, long lunge. This time the back, we stay with our high lunge, back knee soft, bum squeezing, hands to the sky. And then bring your hands to your hips. So we've got 2 rounds. The first round, we keep our hands on the hips, and we only turn the left thigh, trying to resist the turn of the pelvis with the hands. So the front knee doesn't move, and the legs move into warrior 2 position. Then take your arms out. And we return to our high lunge. Now you might like to do that. Hands on the hips can be really good if you're feeling a little bit wobbly. Or keep your hands off your hips and doing the same movement. We find our way into warrior 2. Front knee hasn't moved. And then circling your way back. High lunge. And bring your hands to the floor. Stepping back, down dog. Lifting the heels, bending the knees, and rolling yourself forward. Bring your knees to the mat, or keep them lifted if you feel ready for a full push-up, and lowering yourself down towards the floor. Again, a little cobra. Peeling the spine away from the floor, shoulder blades squeezing together, space at the front of your chest, and then coming down. Pressing up, and back to downward facing dog. Now step your left foot forward about 1 foot distance, heel to the mat, so toes a little angled, and step your right foot as far forward as you can without lifting the left heel. Bend into your front knee, take your hands towards the sky, warrior 1. And again, bring your hands to your hips and making any adjustments you might need. If your hips are open too far, you might like to shorten your stance. The pelvis faces forward. Warrior 1. Hands toward the sky. And then you're going to bring your fingers down to the mat, stepping forward, heart forward, and curling in. Second side. Heart forward, head forward. Right leg steps back. So the foot steps back, long lunge. Soften the back knee, right knee, firm your buttocks, and take your hands toward the sky. High lunge. Hands to the hips. And the hips are going to be resisted by the hands as you turn the back foot, right heel to the mat without moving the front knee. So our hips will be angled, but we'll get that nice opening, stretching across the back hip and taking your arms out to the side. Warrior two. And then coming back to your high lunge, the back heel lift onto the ball of the back foot. And then either taking your hands once more to your hips or keeping your hands up and turning your back thigh, heel to the floor, arms open out slowly, warrior two. Front knee still hasn't moved. And then spinning yourself back to a high lunge. And bring your hands down to the floor, stepping back to your downward facing dog. Hands nice and strong. Trying to get a really long, strong spine. And your knees can be as bent as they need to in your downward facing dogs. And then we're going to bend our knees deliberately as we lift the heels and send ourselves forward, high plank. Knees to the mat, or keep your legs straight and come down to your belly. Again, our cobra, peeling yourself away from the floor, shoulder blades together, buttocks working, and then all the way back down. Push up and back to downward facing dog. And this time, we're going to step the right foot forward by a foot, heel to the mat, and without lifting the right heel, step your left foot forward. Front knee bends, and your hands come to the sky. So our warrior one, bring your hands to your hips, making any adjustments, noticing if your hip is angled too far out to the side. If you've brought a back bend, we want a nice, long, tall spine, squeezing your bum, pelvis neutral, hands to the sky, and then curling down. Fingers to floor. Step forward, heart forward, head forward, curl in. Heel and toe your feet together, if they weren't already, and then keeping your both heels flat on the floor. Sink your bum as low as you can without lifting the heels. And then float up, maybe hands forward, chair pose. So trying to get the spine and the shins parallel. If you need, bring your hands to your hips or hands out in front of your chest. And squeezing your bum, come all the way up to standing, arms along your side. We'll add on more. Circle your hands all the way up, maybe palms touch. And then consciously, steadily roll yourself down, fingers to floor, head to knee. Heart forward, head forward. Stepping your left leg back. Long lunge. Soften the back knee, firm your bum, come all the way up to standing, high lunge. And either hands on the hips or keep your hands up as we open out to warrior two. You might move the legs first and then the arms, or move your arms and leg at the same time. Good. From here, we'll add on a triangle pose. So keeping your hands shoulder height, straighten the front leg, and then pressing your front hip towards the back foot. And notice how the spine stays straight, your arm stays out to a T, and you're just tilting on the hips. Keep rolling this front thigh outwards without lifting the big toe. Good. You might even feel this top side of your waist working to keep your spine straight. Now we're going to add on a side bend of the spine. So, bending the front knee, and you bring your front hip towards your armpit, so right hip towards the right armpit. Maybe rest your elbow on the thigh. So side angle pose. You might also be able to bring your hand to the inside of the front foot. And then you're going to bring the top hand down as you lift the back heel, hands to the floor, and step back to downward facing dog. You can always stay in downward facing dog or take a rest by sitting onto your heels, or if you would like, coming forward to your plank and down to your bellies. Knees first or legs straight, whichever you prefer. Elbows point up, shoulder blades squeeze together, and we peel the spine away from the floor. Cobra pose, you might notice little by little, you can get a little bit more height without pushing too much with your hands. Lowering down, and then coming back up, and meeting in downward facing dog. And then we're going to step the left foot forward a little, heel to the mat, toes turn a little to the side, the right foot forward, front knee bends, warrior one, hands to the sky. Good. Now we're going to add on our revolved triangle and revolved side angle pose. To straighten your front leg, take your arms out to the side. Front thigh still rolling outwards, anchored with your front big toe. And then you're going to twist your spine without sending your hips out to the side, so pelvis facing forward, and then bringing your left hand towards the right shin. You might take a firm grip onto your ankle. You might be able to bring the fingertips to the floor on the outside of the foot, whichever you prefer. Maybe looking up towards your right hand. And if you need to, you can always bring your right hand onto your hip. Good. And then from here, we'll add on. So start bending the front knee. And if you can, bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. And bring your palms on top of each other. Pressing the knee and the elbow against each other. Tucking your right sit bone underneath. Beautiful. And then under your twist, fingers to floor. That one's quite hard. Well done, stepping forward. Heart forward, head forward, and curl in. So, second side, fingers on the floor. Heart forward, head forward. You might notice that you can straighten your legs a little more by now, but it's okay if they're still very bent. Step your right foot back. Squeeze your bum, soften the back knee, hands to the sky. We start with our high lunge, and then opening out to the warrior two. Making sure that front knee is still stacked over the front heel. And then from here, we'll add on our triangle pose, Trikonasana. Front leg straightens. Arms stay out to the side like a T. The spine stays straight. And we press the left hip towards the right foot. Tilting on the hips, but keeping the spine straight. Arms out to a T. So it doesn't matter if you need to stay up very high or if you can come down low. We just want to keep the spine straight. Maybe if you need to, you can bring the top hand to the hip. And you might like to rest your hand on the leg, but again without letting it collapse. So that's why it's interesting to keep the arms out at a T. You'll notice your abdominals working a little more to stabilize you. And then we add on the side bend. So bend the front knee, left hip pushing towards left armpit. And maybe you bring your elbow to the thigh. Maybe you can take your arm down on the inside of the front leg. Side angle pose. And then bring your hands down to the floor as you lift the back heel and step back to your downward facing dog. And either stay here or take a seat for a moment, maybe rest in child's pose, or coming forward through a flow, high plank, coming down to your bellies, pointing the toes, squeezing the bum, peeling the spine away from the floor without pushing too much on your hands. Letting the muscles along your back do the work. And then lowering down. Pressing up. And we'll all meet in downward facing dog. So even though I instruct and demonstrate the flow, if you don't feel like that would be appropriate for you right now, then don't do it. So now we'll add on the twisting versions. We step the right foot a little forward, heel to the mat, toes angled. The left foot all the way forward, pelvis forward, front knee bends, hands to the sky. Warrior one. And as you straighten the front leg, taking your arms out to a T, and then twisting the upper half of your body. So without sending your hips out to the side, squeeze your bum so they contain the pelvis, and then from here, tilting forward. And either right hand to left shin or ankle, or maybe you can reach the fingers to the floor. Now, it gets harder and harder, I know. Keep squeezing your bum so you can really press from the pelvis to the feet. We're going to add on deepest twist, Bend the front knee, elbow across the knee, or across the thigh rather, and the palms touch. Prayer twist. Revolve side angle pose. And then uncurl, fingers to floor. Step forward, eyes forward, heart forward, and curling in. Heel and toe your feet together if they're not already. Heels stay on the floor. Sink your bum as low as it goes. And then floating your way up into an invisible chair pose. And from here, squeezing your bum, come all the way up to standing. Maybe the palms touch to the very top. And taking your arms along your side. From here, we'll just reset the spine by circling the hands all the way up. And then rolling down, fingers to floor, head to knee. Heart forward, head forward, and curling in. Soften the bum, and rolling all the way up. Well, not soften the bum, soften the knees and firm the bum. Take your hands up towards the sky, and we're going to roll all the way back down. Knees forward, abs supporting your controlled roll down. Fingers to floor, head to knee. Eyes forward, heart forward, hands flat, and then step back to a downward facing dog. And just staying here for 5 breaths. Making sure you feel really nice and strong from the shoulders to the hands, from the hips to the feet. Noticing if you're collapsing too much into the wrists, feel like you're trying to lift your wrists away from the floor and trying to press your heels down. Legs are strong, the ribs lift away from the mat. Spine is long and your knees might still be bent. That's okay. And then from here, we're going to very consciously walk the hands back towards the feet. Rolling in, head towards your knees. And you're going to slowly roll all the way up, knees bent, bum strong, hands towards the sky. And bring your arms down along your side. So we're going to add on some standing balancing. Hands onto your hips, bend a little into your knees, and then inhale the right knee up towards your chest. Hand onto the front of the shin. And we want a little bit of resistance. So it's like your foot is trying to push down and your hand is trying to pull up. A little bit of resistance between the leg and the hand. Your left hand anchors your left hip in place. And slowly we'll use the right hand to draw the knee out to the side, but the left hand holds the left hip in place. So exploring your own range of hip opening. And you're going to bring the knee back in. And then wrap your arms around your shin. Give yourself a bit of a squeeze and a cuddle. And gently release. Foot down. Circling your hands all the way up. And rolling all the way down. Heart forward, head forward, just resetting everything before we balance on the second side. Curl in. Soften the knees and rolling all the way up. Circling your hands to the sky and bring your hands down along your side. So, second side. Hands on the hips, bending a little into the knees, and then inhaling, left knee up towards your chest. Good. Right buttock strong. Left hand onto left shin, right hand onto right hip. And again, there's that activation of the hand pulling up and the foot pushing down. And as your right hand holds the right hip in place, the left hand takes your left knee out to the side. And just noticing at what point do you feel your limit without having to turn the entire pelvis. Just exploring your own hips. And then you're going to bring the knee back to center. Give yourself another squeeze and a cuddle. And then bring the foot down. Circling your hands all the way up. And rolling all the way down. Just resetting. Eyes forward, heart forward, and curl in. Rolling all the way up. Hands to the sky. And taking your arms down. And from here, take a wide step out along your mat. And the second toe pointing forward. The outer edges of your feet about parallel to the outer edges of your mat. And it's like you're trying to roll your thighs a little outwards, squeezing your bum, pressing your pelvis forward, and the ribs back. Circling your hands all the way up. Pelvis presses forward, ribs pull back, maybe looking up. And then we're just going to roll all the way down. Hands to the mat. And you might have hands flat, you might be up on the fingertips. If you need, if the floor is still very far away, you might like to take your feet out a little wider. Heart forward, head forward, and again curling in. Let your head be heavy. Imagine your head is like a watermelon hanging off a spaghetti neck. The neck nice and soft, maybe just moving it around a little bit, leaning the weight into the balls of your feet. Legs strong, but still having that slight sensation of wanting to push your knees forward so they don't lock out. And then bring your hands to the outside of your ankles. As you push your hands into the legs, slide your hands up, rolling up. And at the very top, hands lift up. And take your hands down to your hips. From here, we're going to step to the top of the mat. So next level in our standing balancing. Softening into your knees. And from here, taking your right knee up to your chest. So you can always stay with the variation we've just done, holding on to the shin. Or, if you like, holding on to the big toe. And maybe trying to straighten the leg. So really make sure that entire standing leg, standing hip, standing buttocks is strong. And the left hand holding the left hip in place. And whether or not your leg is straight or bent, we take the leg out to the side, but the left hand anchoring the hip in place. So we don't turn at the pelvis, just the right thigh in the right hip. Then from here, we're all going to bend the right knee without sticking your left hip out, so the left hip is still in. And then you're going to place your right foot to the inside of your right leg. Tree pose. So that might mean your foot is on the inside of the thigh. It might feel better for you to bring the foot to the inside of the shin. It might feel best if you bring the big toe on the floor and the heel just above the ankle. Whichever one feels best for you. So I like bringing my foot to the inside of the thigh, but it took quite a few years before I was able to keep the foot there without holding onto it myself. Or with my hand. And you can either keep your hands on the hip for support. Often see this posture practice with hands in prayer. I like bringing the index fingers and thumbs to touch, and then resting one hand on my lap, or on my thigh and the other hand straight up. That subtle, delicate touch between index finger and thumb somehow distracts my mind from worrying about balancing. And then bring your hands back to your heart, knee back to your chest, and bring the foot down. Curling down, fingers to floor, head to knee. Heart open, and down. Now we roll all the way up, preparing to balance on the second side. Circling the hands all the way up, and bring the hands down to your hips. Bending into the knees, and then inhaling left knee up towards your chest. So you can do like we did on the first round, either holding onto the shin, or if you took the big toe on the just before, doing so again, and then maybe taking your leg out. And then the right hand anchors the right hip in place. Your standing leg is nice and strong, and either turning the knee bent or legs straight out to the side. And you're still trying to escape, so the foot's trying to escape the hand's trying to pull on the foot. And then we're all going to bend the knee and find your variation of tree pose. So whether that you had the foot on the thigh, foot on the shin, or big toe on the floor, whatever you did on the first side, do it again on the second side. And then you have, of course, all your options for where to place your hands, helping for stability with hands on the hips, or hands at your heart, or with my little mudra practice, index fingers and thumbs touching, left hand to left thigh, right hand to the sky. Keeping the spine nice and long, hips facing forward, and just the knee reaching to the side. And then bring the hands together, knee back to your chest, and then taking the foot down. So from here, before we reset the spine, we're going to take our step all the way out long. And you can either do the variation we did before, where you bring your hands to the floor, or you might like to add on another level, take your arms out to the sky, or out to the sky, out to the side, then bend your elbows, fingers point forward, elbows pull back. So elbows back, fingers forward, hips forward, ribs back. Then pointing the fingers down, squeezing your shoulder blades together, and keeping your elbows bent for as long as possible, interlacing your fingers, bringing the wrists together, strong arms, strong shoulder blades. And then from here, we'll all look up, whether or not your hands are on your hips or your hands are interlaced, and then tucking the chin and rolling down. If your hands are interlaced behind you, your hands lift as your head lowers. Leaning a little bit of the weight, a little bit more weight into the balls of your feet. Trusting yourself, your body knows not to fall. And either your hands are resting on the floor or they're interlaced behind you, your fingers are interlaced, resisting the temptation to straighten your arms. And then we're all going to roll back up. The hands lower as the head lifts. Take your hands all the way up. And then bring your hands back to your hips. And we're going to step to the top of the mat. From here, we're going to add on a little bit of something, something. So, circling your hands all the way up. And rolling down. Fingers to floor, head to knee. Eyes forward, heart forward. And then hands flat and stepping back to your downward facing dog. Good. And from here, stepping your left foot forward a little, heel to the mat, the right foot all the way forward. So again, we're setting ourselves up for warrior one. Front knee bends, hands to the sky. Hips face forward. Now from here, bring your hands down towards your heart. And you're going to lean forward. From here, spin the back heel off the mat so you're on the ball of the back foot. You might stay here, and this might already feel quite challenging. Good. Perfect. Stay there. Or bring your fingers to the floor. And then lift your back leg to hip height. This might, again, feel strong, and you might want to stay here. Good. Or if you want to add on another level, take your hands out to the sky for an airplane warrior 3. Now we're going to add on a little bit more. So bring your fingers back to the floor. Bend a little into your standing leg. Leaving your right fingers down, and then taking your left fingers up towards the sky, turning left knee, left toes to the left. And then keeping the leg lifted if you can, turning the toes towards the floor, left fingers down, adding on a twist, revolved half moon pose, the right hand to the sky without dropping the left foot. And then bring your fingers down, stepping back, down dog. Maybe give your tail a little bit of a wag. Pedal out your feet. Bending one knee at a time, and we'll do the second side. So right foot steps, forward one step. Left foot steps all the way forward, front knee bend, squeezing your bum. Hands to the sky, warrior one. So lots of stages, choose your favorite. As you bring your hand to your heart, you lean forward, back heel might lift. You might take your hands out to the sky and stay here. You might bring the fingers to the floor. Stay there. You might lift the back leg to hip height and stay with fingers on the mat. Or take your hands out like an airplane. And then the fingers are going to come back down to the floor. We start with our half moon pose. So the left fingers stay down. And we spin the right toes to the side as the right hand peels up. And then we spin the right toes to point down, the right hand to the floor. Keep your standing leg nice and strong, firm your butt, and peel your left hand to the sky, adding on a twist. And then bring your hand down to the floor and stepping back to your downward facing dog. So now we add on more different type of balancing challenge. So lift your heels, bend your knees a little, and spin both heels to the right. From here, leave your right hand on the floor. Take your left hand to your hip, and maybe your left foot stays on the mat. If you'd like more support, bring the foot halfway along the mat. If you'd like to add on more challenge, maybe bring the left foot, to your tree pose. So remember, that can either be thigh or shin, but not on the knee. You don't want to be pushing on the joint. So a side plank variation, maybe the left hand to the sky, pushing the floor away, pressing your right thigh into the right thigh up towards the sky. Then we're all going to bring the left foot to the floor and lower onto the outer edge of your right hip, lower onto your right elbow. Now the trick is to not look down at what your right toes are doing. Bring your ears back in line with your shoulders so you've got one nice long line. So we're lying in a bit of a side bend. You might stay here with your left foot on the floor. You might like to add on the challenge by finding, your balancing tree pose, your side balancing tree pose. So it's like we're adding tree pose to a posture called reclined Vishnu with a side bend. And again, maybe adding on your mudra, your bum squeezing. So there's a really interesting balancing posture because it requires so much to stay balanced. But then once you're there, it's like balancing on a knife edge. And then we're going to take it down even lower. So you can either bring your foot down to the floor for support or leave it on your leg. You might have your head on your arm, or your head in your hands. And again, staying here. Maybe the hand on the floor, maybe your little mudra position. Again, keeping your bum engaged. You're pressing your hips forward, your ribs back, staying in a nice, long, strong, straight line. And then bring your left hand to the floor. Left knee out to the side, rolling onto your belly. 90 degree at the left knee, and coming onto your elbows for Sphinx pose. Squeeze your bum. Push your shoulders away, or press your shoulders down, your elbows down. And then adding on a side bend. So keeping your left knee where it is, reach your right hand across. And then rolling towards the right, peeling your right hand back, but keep the left knee on the floor. Or you're peeling your left hand back and keep the left knee on the floor. So you're in a twist. If it feels like you're straining your neck, let your head rest on the floor. Open it across the chest. And then you're going to roll back onto your belly, stretching your leg out behind you, and pushing up. And back to down dog. And getting ready for the second side. So, from here, hands are nice and strong, arms are nice and strong, ribs lift away from the floor. We lift the heels a little, bend the knees a little, and spin both heels to the left. And we straighten our legs. You'll notice my wrist is a little forward of the shoulder, so the shoulder is more supported. And I can either bring my right hand to the hip, and the right foot on the floor, or the right leg might stack on top of the left, and maybe my right hand toward the sky. Or if you did so on the first side, finding your side plank tree pose. And just noticing what it's like. Your variation. What has to happen for you to find that delicate balance of effort and ease? And then bring your hand down to your hip, right foot to the floor, and lower yourself onto the outer left hip. And further down onto your left elbow. Good, either hand on the hip and the foot on the floor, or you might like to find your tree pose balance. And we always want to look down towards the foot to resist that temptation. Bring your ears back in line with the shoulders. So you keep yourself on that long line. And maybe index fingers and thumbs touch. Noticing if one side is easier than the other. Which side is harder. Again, playing, whoa, where do you balance? And noticing if you do fall, fine, you just try and get back into it. Luckily, we're already on the floor, so you can't fall very far. And then from here, from this side bend variation, we're going to lower down. And maybe head on the hand, or head on the arm, whichever you prefer. And again, whoa, finding your balance. Noticing if you can soften your breath. Noticing if you've started to hold your breath in order to hold your balance. What has to happen for you to keep breathing? Nice, soft, relaxed breath. And then we bring the right hand to the floor, the right knee out to the side, 90 degrees. Coming on to our elbows for our Sphinx pose. So resting on the elbows, shoulders moving back and down, elbows pressing into the floor, bum squeezing. And then we add on our twist. So the left hand reaches across past the right knee, and then rolling yourself halfway over, but keeping your knee on the floor and stretching your right hand back. Again, you can either rest your head on the floor or keep your head off the mat. And you're trying to reach the right fingers away, open across the chest. And then stretch your leg out behind you, rolling onto your belly, and pushing up, back, down dog. Again, have a little wag of your tail, pedal your feet. It's like you're taking your dog for a walk. And finding stillness, just revisit your downward facing dog. Strong arms, strong shoulders, strong body, hips, legs. Maybe you notice that your heels are coming closer to the floor. Maybe you're noticing the legs are straightening a little more. What's happening in your hands? Are you cupping them, afraid of the floor? Or can you press the full foundation of your hand down? And then from here, lifting your heels up high, bending your knees even lower than you might have done. And then you're going to step forward and land onto your bottom. Ta-da, we're on the floor. So, another favorite. Feet on the floor. Hold onto the back of your knees. And leaning back, feet forward. So you've got straight arms. And now about 90 degrees at the hips. And keeping your feet here, or if you like, you can lift your feet a little. And you can either keep holding on to the back of the knees, or take your hands off the floor, press your palms together. And looking at your thumbs, and whether or not your feet are lifted, feet might be on the floor, we'll still all do the same gentle twist. Looking at your thumbs, twisting towards the left, and then bringing your little fingers down towards your left hip. Inhaling. Back up on the left, and then all the way across to the right. And the little fingers down towards the right hip. Arms stay straight. And then up. Back to center. Feet to the floor, head to knees, and just have a little rest. And gently sitting up, stretching your left leg out in front, bending your right knee. You can have your right ankle lining up with your left knee, or you can have it closer, as long as you can still keep your spine tall and upright. The hip and the heel lining up. And then from here, keeping both sit bones on the floor, circle your hands all the way out. And open belly twist. So twisting towards the left. Right hand forward, left fingers back. And if you need to, you can bring the left fingers on the floor for support. And if your arm is on the inside of your leg, then pressing the arm and leg against each other. And when we twist, we're trying to push the left foot forward, left hip forward, while the left shoulder peels back. And inhale your gaze back to center. And returning your twist. And circling your hands all the way out. Keep your legs exactly as they are. And we're going to close the twist. So twisting to the right, towards your bent knee. Left fingers forward, right fingers back. And you might bring your arm around the knee, fingers to the floor. If your heel is close to your butt, you might be able to bring your elbow to the outside, but without slouching. So whichever variation, you want the spine nice and tall. Spine is the most important part. And then turn your gaze back to center. And releasing your twist, stretching your leg out. So now we'll do the second side. So the right leg stays straight, left knee bends. And again, the ankle might line up with the knee, or the heel might be close to your bottom. Either way, heel and hip line up. We start with the open twist, spine tall, arms sweep up to lengthen the spine even more, and then we open the twist to the right. Right hand back, left fingers forward. And we are pressing the right foot forward, right hip forward, left hip back. So we try to take the twist out of the pelvis and into the spine. Maybe your back fingers are resting on the floor for a bit of added support. Maybe the arm and the knee are pushing against each other for help to deepen the twist. And bring your gaze back to center, releasing the twist. Maybe you can bring the foot closer without lifting the hip. Either way, you want the hip on the floor, both sides of your butt on the floor, and then take your hands up, spine nice and long, and we close the twist, twisting towards the bent leg. And maybe you wrap your arm around the knee, fingers to the floor. If you're able to deepen your twist and the foot is close to your buttocks, maybe your elbow clears the thigh, but not with collapsing the spine. So we're maintaining integrity of the spine. We can kind of live without arms and legs, really hard to live without the spine. And then coming back to center and releasing the twist and stretching it like that. Now we'll bring the soles of the feet together, knees out to the side, and then resting your hands on your feet or on your ankles, whichever is easiest. And then leaning forward without letting the shoulders drop. So a gentle lift of the shoulders away from the floor. Slight engagement in the back of the knees, as if you've got fingers in the back of your knees and you're trying to hold onto your fingers. And use your fingers to push you all the way back up. Use your hands to help your knees back up. Feet onto the floor, knees bent, bum to heels, and then lower down onto your back. Knees pointing to the sky, toes pointing forward, and arms along your side. The elbows bend and the fingers point to the sky. Now as you push your elbows down, you might feel your chest lift, and you can squeeze your shoulder blades a little closer together. Keeping that expansion, the broadness across the chest, squeeze your bum and press your pelvis towards the sky. I call this a robot bridge. It's like we've got robot arms. Keep pushing your elbows down, lifting your heart, your chest away from the floor, and maybe your shoulder blades come together even more. Keep squeezing your bum, pressing your pelvis up. And then gently, gently lowering all the way down, hips down, hands down. And Your feet a little bit wider, knees come together, and then rolling your knees to the left. Inhaling up, and rolling the knees to the right, and coming up, and then bring your knees into your chest. And I invite you to hold around the back of your thighs. Good, and this might be enough, or keep holding onto the back of the thighs and begin to straighten your legs. Maybe your feet are pointing up toward the sky. Maybe you can stretch your toes behind your head. Keep holding onto the back of the thighs. So it's like an upside down Paschimottanasana, our seated forward fold. Maybe you can take your head off the floor, head toward your knees. Pressing out through the balls of the big toes. And then lowering the head down. Bending the knees. And just hands onto the knees, rolling your knees and your lower back in one direction, and then rolling in the other direction. And from here, bring your feet down to the floor, and slowly stretch your legs out. Lift your head slightly. We're setting ourselves up for Shavasana, the final relaxation pose. Making sure your legs are equidistant from the middle of your body, so that one leg isn't more out to the side than the other. And then lowering your head. If you have a ponytail or your hair is done so that it's in the way, give yourself that little ponytail adjustment. And then press the back of your head into the floor so that your chest lifts, and allow your shoulders to drop down towards the floor before you release yourself back onto the mat. And it's like you're resting flat onto your shoulder blades. The fingers relax, the hands relax, your toes, your feet, your arms, your legs. This is our Shavasana, corpse pose, the most important part of the practice, where we bring physical stillness into our body, which allows the body to assimilate all the experience you've just given it. So letting go of all the doing and allowing yourself to be. The breath softens, your heartbeat slows, your body becomes heavy. Welcome home. Enjoying the stillness. Enjoying total relaxation. Enjoying whatever is. And you can stay here for as long as you like. Observing how you relax more and more. Noticing what relaxation feels like. So when we go into our life off the mat, where the real yoga begins, it becomes easier to know what relaxation feels like and how to get yourself there. And then just slowly rouse yourself from this state of relaxation. Allowing the breath to deepen. Maybe moving your fingers and toes. Some of you might like to even stretch your arms and legs as if you're waking up from a beautiful sleep. And then we're all going to roll onto our side, bending your knees, rolling over, and let your head rest on your arm. Just using this moment to let everything equilibrate. And then after a breath or two, use your hands against the floor to roll you up from the side, if you can, keeping your eyes closed. And finding your way into a comfortable position. Again, another pause, another moment to equilibrate. To notice what you're feeling. What are you bringing with you into your life off the mat? What have you cultivated during your time on the mat? What's going to serve you? And what are you leaving behind? And then we'll bring our palms together, resting the thumbs against the heart. Tuning into the beat of the physical heart, pumping life around the body. And tuning into that inner heart, the voice of wisdom that resides deep down inside, always ready to guide. And we bow our heads towards our heart, acknowledging the head is forever servant of the heart. Thank you for joining me on the mat. Namaste.